What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 36. My name is Bret, aka Enigma911. I am joined by Kevin once again for one last podcast for a while. But it's been a good run. It's been a great time. Remember, you can catch the podcast live every first and third Saturday of the month, except for today. Over on twitch.tv/Enigma911 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can put in topics in the comments down below or in our Discord section for whatever you guys would like us to chat about and talk about and rant about, like Star Wars and other things that we have in the past. But remember, guys, our sponsor for the podcast is the merch store, so you can get all of your Enigma 911 words. Enigma 911 swag, t-shirts, mugs, backpacks, and more. I had a good run, and then I fucked up, but that's okay. But you can join us with that and support the brand. That'd be greatly appreciated. So, topic number one. Obviously, this is the first podcast of 2019, so it's a new year. It's a new me. Not really, but we're going to talk about New Year's and maybe some goals we have for ourselves, or just new outlooks, I guess you could say. New energies to put stuff into in the new year and see what we obviously can accomplish. Kev, how do you feel about resolutions for New Year's? Let's start off with that, I guess.
Just keep saying my name, Joe.
That's how we get a compilation. Start with...
As far as New Year's resolutions go, I think that the thing that you always hear that stat that like there's more gym signups in January than most gym cancellations in February.
Yeah.
I think the problem with New Year's resolutions is people make all these blanket ones, or like let's say they'll do like 5 or 6 New Year's resolutions, like eat healthier, lose weight, yada yada. I think the only way it works is if you pick one, and you make that your effort, and then you'll find, like, because what do they say? It takes like 21 days to start a behavior.
A habit, yeah.
Or a habit. By the end of the month, you'll know if your resolution is gonna stick, and then if it doesn't, try again. If it does, once you make it a 21 day mark, it's going to become something you just do. Maybe then think about one of your secondary resolutions that you kind of are floating around in your head and start working on that. And I think that's my stance on resolutions.
Yeah.
I think quality over quantity.
Yeah, I get that.
My name is Jeff.
There's nothing wrong with resolutions. There's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a good thing to do, and I think it's a good energy. I think just people need to, maybe they're too reliant on, like, new year, I have to make a new goal. Like, you can make a new goal for yourself anytime. Like, if you feel like, I need to lose weight, then you can do that anytime. You don't have to wait until January 1st to get it done. But I agree with what you said with a clearer focus. Like, obviously we all want to do all these things and whatever, but, like, sometimes if you, I know they say put your eggs in multiple baskets or whatever, don't put them all in one basket. Like, sometimes that approach, you take such small steps that there's no progress gained, or you eventually drop it. So, like, I think for this mindset of New Year's goals, yeah, I think that's a good attitude of, like, invest in one. Once you feel comfortable enough with that you're making the progress you wanted to make, or maybe you reach the end goal if it wasn't, like, necessarily eat healthier, like, obviously that shouldn't have an endpoint, I guess. Then you add on to the next thing, whatever it may be, and maybe make it like total New Year resolution instead of just like the beginning forefront, I guess you could say. So, like, spread out your 5 goals across the 12 months. Like, this point I'm going to work on this one, and then go from there. So we have the stereotypical eat healthier, lose weight, things like that. I fall into those this year because I have put on a little weight.
Hey, that's insulation.
Yeah, true. It is cold. Is there anything specific that you have set for yourself for this year that you want to do? Whether it's a resolution or a goal or just something you've been working on that you want to continue doing.
Well, I had like 2, I guess.
Okay.
One was kind of basic.
Mm-hmm.
I cut out soda.
Okay.
which has been interesting because unfortunately I think I was drinking like a soda a day type situation, and yeah, that's not good for you. I think they say like 70% of males, like the fat that we have is typically derived from like soda in America anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, but then the more substantial real one was to try and look at things more positively, or to try to adopt more of a positive attitude, because my mental outlook on things has not been great for a long time, so I gotta try and push myself into a good direction.
Fair enough.
Haven't succeeded yet in the first week of the new year, but we got another 51 weeks left, so practice makes frustration, but then frustration leads to anger, but then eventually someday
you'll be on the dark side.
Adequacy.
Oh, okay, all right.
So, yeah.
Those are good. All right, that's good. That was a little callback to the last podcast to be decent. I like that.
Always a good thing.
Always a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, like I talked about, I want to lose weight. I want to exercise again. Obviously, I was doing taekwondo 5 nights a week.
Send me videos.
Oh, okay. Well, can do.
Shirtless.
That might keep my participation level up there. But yeah, just doing something. I back in November July. Oh boy, back in July I tried a program for a week. It's called Metabolic Meltdown. It's like a high intensity training, like high interval training, whatever you call it.
High intensity interval training.
Yeah, there you go.
HIIT.
And like I enjoyed it quite a bit. Like I mean, I felt dead after and destroyed and in pain, but like it was fun doing. I think that's something I need to kind of aim for. Like, I don't personally have a problem with, like, just going out and running, but I think I need somebody, like, I need a routine.
And running is, like, unfortunately, long-distance running will get you in, like, cardio shape, but it's terrible for getting your body to burn fat. Your high-intensity interval training, though, the cool thing about that is you can do 12 minutes of it, and it's better than going out for a 6-mile run.
Wow.
And it's like in track we used to do a thing like when you'd go around the track, you would sprint the straight parts of the track and you jog the corners, and what that does is it keeps forcing your heart rate to go up and down, up and down, up and down, which is the point of high intensity interval training. And it actually creates this effect in your body afterward called the afterburn effect.
Okay.
So even when you're not working out for like the rest of your day, because your heart was going through such weird transitions for like 12 minutes, it actually has you burning fat even when you're not working out. You can do it for 12 to 15 minutes, and it's considered better than doing an hour of running.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I would say if you're looking to do that, you can make it into a really fun way to stay in shape, and you only have to do it like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, the woman who had me try it, because she does the program and she recommended it, she goes every day, or at least 5 times a week, and I'm like, hold on, like after doing one, I'm like,
she's a psychopath.
No. Yeah. So I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I had the week, I went 1 day, 2 day, back to back, and then I was sick, so I like took 2 days off, and then I went back for another, and yeah, I think that would be my plan, is do like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, because yeah, you feel sore the fucking shit after.
Well, and that's the thing, you got to give yourself, especially early on, you got to give yourself rest days. Like, she's probably been doing it for a while where your body can handle that. When you're first doing it for your first month or so, you got to give yourself off days so that your muscle fibers heal, and then you can get right back to it. I don't know, it was cool because I got really into that for a while, and it gets to the point your heart rate, like I had a Fitbit at the time, so like even when you take a nap, your body starts becoming so finely tuned that even when you're taking a nap, you're burning calories and fat while napping. So it's like napping can become a workout, which is pretty awesome overall.
So yeah, I'd like to get into that, and I feel like I do better with someone telling me what to do. Like, I enjoy running now. I didn't always. And I mean, I'm not doing like marathons or whatever, but 2-3 mile run is nice, and it's a cutoff, listen to music and whatever. Go. But having that, I think that consistent schedule of like, I'm going these days at these times, I think that'll help, instead of just like, I'll go tomorrow for a run or whatever. Like, it's very what's the word, I don't know, self-involved. Like, you got to keep your own schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be. But that, and then dietary, I think I need to change a little bit, just maybe not eat out as much. I need to cut back on that. It's always the thing of like, oh, it's right there, just grab it. I don't have to worry about making anything or whatever the prep time. So those are I think are my big ones. And then obviously content wise, I want to see what new levels I can push. We talked about this as well, competition. I see what other people are doing, and I'm like looking at myself and comparing, and I'm like, I'm not happy with what I'm doing. How can I change it? So that, and then finally career wise, obviously I've set my goal of what I want to do. Now it's a matter of how do I get there, and I think this year I should try and take at least a couple steps towards that, even if it's not like the main end goal job I want, but like, okay, what could I do to get there, per se. So I think those are my big ones, and I gotta just now that I'm home and out of vacation mode, start working towards that and see what I can do. Like job hunt is obviously a big to-do list this week and next week and leading up, stuff like that. Okay, so I guess to wrap up this topic, anybody watching this with their New Year's goal, what would your advice be to them to like stick to them or accomplish it?
Well, I think one of the other reasons why I would suggest picking one to start is once you complete something successfully, it gives you a lot of motivation and drive to go with the second one.
Yep.
So, in that same method or the same thought process, within that one resolution, set up mini goals for yourself. And as you meet each one of those mini goals, you're going to be driven and happy by the completion factor, and it'll help you drive your way to the finishing of that resolution. So you kind of take the overall method and then shrink it down, same idea for your resolution that you're doing. I'd say the thing with weight loss though is you can't ever go by, I want to have drop this amount of weight in this amount of time, because each person's body is different.
Sure.
And so if you tell yourself I'm going to lose 5 pounds in 2 weeks, that's not necessarily healthy. You don't want to do it that way. They say typically what's healthy is like 1 pound or 2 a week, maybe.
Okay.
So, and then the other thing is too, as you start working out, you're going to start drinking more water to stay hydrated, and then that adds water weights. Then you'll get discouraged because you're like, oh, I'm actually a 0.5 pound heavier, and it's like, if you weigh yourself in the morning after you woke up, you haven't drank anything yet, you probably have gone pee and all that, you're going to be real light, and then when you check in later, you're going to be like 2 pounds heavier, you're going to be like, oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do that, you just got to kind of keep an overall average of things in your mind, and don't do what I did. Don't lose 30 pounds in 2 months. That's super not healthy at any level, and I probably should have died.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with that. I would actually counter argue that. I think it's...
No.
It's a podcast with 2 people. I can do what I want.
No, you can't.
I think it's important to set a time. If you were doing weight loss, maybe not specifically a date, but maybe kind of give yourself a goal, but understand that if you don't reach that goal, it's not necessarily the end. Yes, you should have died to wrap up the topic. Don't talk to me, producer. Right? So, because I think with those mini goals and that timeline, I think you might be a little bit more focused towards it. Like a thing I noticed with school projects. Oh, you got a month to do this. Great. And then you wait till that last week and you're like, oh, fuck! So, I think giving yourself a time frame, or at least a time goal, I think is good. But once again, I agree with your point of everybody's body's different. For that specific example, don't be discouraged. That's my advice to people is if it doesn't go right immediately, don't be discouraged. Keep up with it. Keep going. It will happen. You just gotta keep pushing.
No, I like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna disagree with it totally.
Yep, that's fine.
No, the other thing you gotta keep in mind is too, once you start working out, your muscles are reacting,
Yep.
and then they start growing.
Yep.
Right, and that's where when you feel all those pains and cramps, whatever, it's your muscle fibers have torn,
Mm-hmm.
and then once they heal up, they get bigger,
Right.
which is how you build weight, obviously. So the other thing you got to keep in mind is if you've been working out like crazy and you find that you're like a pound or two heavier, you have to realize you probably have been burning fat, but you've also been adding muscle.
Right.
And muscle is, I mean, I know a lot of people like to say this is like a joke, but it is actually true. Muscle does way more and more densely packed than fat.
Yeah.
So you might see you go up 2 pounds and get discouraged, but you also have to realize the way your body actually works, you may have added muscle and decreased fat.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah. You gotta take everything into account.
Yeah, because there was a time where, like, when I was at school and I was dealing with, the stress of school, I was in the weight room, like, every day, sometimes twice a day. And I was drinking, like, those mass gainer shakes. I was drinking creatine.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing everything. And, like, in the first week, it was, like, 5 pounds added. And at the time, I was bummed by that. Because I was like, yo, I need to be yoked. I need to be jacked. And, like, so that's an opposite example, but the point is still true. You have to keep, be realistic about what your body's doing and why the weight might not be. That's what I'm saying, like, setting a goal for yourself of 195, like, let's say you're 205 and you want to be 195, setting that up as a goal might be not extremely realistic, because as your body's changing, you might actually put on a little weight, but it's not bad weight.
Right.
But that's...
I get that.
Let's just say this. Everything Brett said is well-intentioned, is well thought out. It's wrong. I'm right.